Okay, so listener, you really went above and beyond this time. You sent us, well, these audio files claiming contact, get this, with the Yahyel, a whole race of extraterrestrial beings. Definitely piqued our curiosity. So we're going to dive deep into this, see if this message is the real deal, and if it is, what in the universe are they trying to tell us?
What I find fascinating about this case is how it kind of riffs on these familiar themes from other extraterrestrial encounters, but it also throws in some really unique elements. It's like a greatest hits album, but with a twist.
Right, like we've got Lonnie Strati, our supposed Yahyel, what was it, contact specialist. And they're laying down this whole story about hybrid origins, interdimensional, what have you, and wait for it, telepathic love-ins.
It definitely stretches the limits of your typical first contact story, that's for sure. But to get a handle on the Yahyel, I think we need to rewind a bit. So they're claiming to be a hybrid species, a blend of our own ancient human ancestors. And get this, the Zeta Reticuli.
Okay, hold on, hold on. For those of us who aren't exactly, ufologists, who are the Zeta Reticuli again?
Ah, right. The Zeta Reticuli, or as they're more popularly known, the Greys. Yeah, they're the ones always popping up in those abduction stories. Big eyes, gray skin. They're practically the celebrities of alien encounters at this point.
Oh, okay, right. Those guys. So we've got the Yahyel, who are like their more emotionally available cousins, and they're here because...
Well, if we're to believe Lonnie, they were created to be a kind of bridge between the Zeta and, well, us.
A bridge, okay, I'm following.
A bridge for, and this is where it gets really interesting, continuing these hybridization programs.
Oh, well, hold on. Did you say hybridization programs? As in, like, breeding programs. We're going there.
To be fair, Lonnie really stresses that these programs as they exist now are completely consensual. They happen on a, what do they call it? A higher dimensional level.
All right, you're messing with me now. Higher dimensional consent. That sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Okay, try to imagine this. You know that feeling when you just have a gut feeling about something, like some deep intuition that's kind of pushing you in a certain direction. Even if you don't consciously get it, something deep down is guiding you. That's kind of what the Yahyel are saying is happening here, but on a cosmic scale. Consent in a realm beyond our normal awareness.
So less about signing on the dotted line on a spaceship and more about like subconscious agreements made on a cosmic plane. Wild.
Exactly. Now, whether or not someone buys into this whole concept of higher dimensional consent, well, that's a whole other conversation. But it definitely makes you think about free will and choice in a whole new way.
It's a lot to unpack, that's for sure. But I have to say, compared to those Zeta Reticuli abduction stories, this we only proceed with your higher self's blessing approach from the Yahyel almost feels refreshing,
It does seem to be a recurring thing with them. They really highlight empathy, emotional connection. Night and day compared to how the Zeta are usually portrayed.
Totally. Lonnie even goes out of their way to say, hey, chill out. We're not here to conquer you. None of those typical alien invasion tropes.
No, they're very insistent that they come in peace. Lonnie specifically says they want nothing to do with our military.
And get this. Their idea of making contact, it's not about landing on the White House lawn or anything. It's a lot more, how should I say, intimate. They want to build trust and understanding through, get this, telepathic communication.
It's definitely a far cry from the take me to your leader scenarios you usually imagine. It sounds like they're proposing open communication, but on their terms. We have to meet them halfway.
It's like they're holding the cosmic phone and they're like, hey, we're here when you are. But here's the kicker. They're saying this telepathic connection, it hinges on us getting in touch with our emotions.
And that's where things get really interesting. If we're to believe Lonnie, the Yahyel put a ton of stock in emotion. Love, joy, a sense of interconnectedness. It's kind of their thing.
So it's not enough to just think about them. We have to feel our way to them.
Right, basically. They seem to think that the secret to making this whole interspecies communication thing work is by tapping into, maybe even embracing our capacity for empathy. They even suggest that some people might already have a strong connection, like maybe even past lives or something.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. So we're talking about a potential alien civilization that communicates through feelings, values emotional connection, and maybe even has a deeper history with humanity than we ever imagined.
It's a lot to process, and honestly, we're just scratching the surface here.
You're telling me this whole telepathic communication thing, I mean, it sounds crazy, but what if it's real? What if we could actually reach out and touch the mind of another species, share thoughts and emotions across space? That's a conversation I want to have.
It's a pretty mind-boggling concept when you really think about it. Connecting with another intelligent species. and not through some fancy tech, but through emotion.
Right. It's like trading in our high-tech gadgets for a cosmic heart-to-heart. So how do we make the call? Is there a special meditation app for this? A cosmic mood ring, maybe?
Well, Lonnie does actually get into the specifics of how to do this, and it's honestly a lot simpler than you'd think. It boils down to cultivating certain emotions, they say, specifically joy, love, and a genuine desire for connection.
So no need to stock up on crystals or anything, just good vibes.
Pretty much. It's not just about, intellectually acknowledging that the Yahyel exists. It's about tapping into a genuine desire to connect with them. Like, think about trying to remember something you've forgotten. You can't just force it. You have to kind of create the right conditions for it to come back to you.
Interesting. So more about setting an intention than just thinking a thought, getting into that feeling.
Exactly. Lonnie even mentions that some people are drawn to use the Yahyel's sigil, a visual representation of their race.
Yeah, yeah.
As a focal point.
Ah, okay. So like a cosmic phone number, you visualize it and bam, you are chatting with the Yahyel.
Not quite that simple, unfortunately. Lonnie's pretty clear that, the sigil can be a tool, but it's the emotional connection that really matters, recognizing that energetic link they believe is already there.
Gotcha. No shortcuts then. It's about cultivating a real connection, not just dialing a cosmic hotline. But, okay, here's what gets me. If they're so advanced, why not just, I don't know, send us a telepathic memo or something? Why make us do all the work?
That's a really good question, and Lonnie actually addresses that. They're basically saying that to force contact would be violating our free will. It's more like they're extending a hand. It's our choice to take it.
That's surprisingly considerate, You usually hear about aliens demanding attention, not politely waiting for an invitation.
It makes sense, though, right?
Yeah.
It all ties back to their whole thing with respect and autonomy, that higher dimensional consent idea.
Right. No coercion, no imposing their will, just that consent-based, emotionally aware interactions. Definitely not your typical alien overlord story.
Not at all. But all this talk of emotional connection, as fascinating as it is, it does raise a lot of questions, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Like, if emotions are the key to unlocking telepathic communication with the Yahyel, what does that say about our own human potential for connection? What if we haven't even begun to explore what our minds can really do?
And what if we entertain this idea for a moment, that the Yahyel truly are this heart-centric society, just like Lonnie describes? What would it be like to actually interact with them? Would we be overwhelmed by their openness? Or could it maybe even inspire us to tap into a deeper level of empathy ourselves?
It's pretty wild to think about, A species that's supposedly born from a genetic experiment is now giving us a crash course in feelings. Makes you wonder, what if emotional intelligence isn't a weakness, but a sign of something, well, more evolved?
That's an interesting way to look at it, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to think of intelligence as being all about logic and reason, but what if there's another dimension to it, one that's centered around empathy and emotional depth?
Right. It's like we're taught to think about emotions as these messy, irrational things, but maybe they hold the key to a deeper understanding of ourselves, even the universe.
It really challenges our whole worldview. And speaking of challenges, Lonnie's message doesn't shy away from the ones facing humanity either.
Oh, you mean like climate change, political turmoil, the ever-present threat of cat videos taking over the internet?
Well, maybe not the cat videos, but they seem to think their knowledge and perspective could help us with some of the problems that we've been wrestling with for centuries. Improving our societal systems, pushing us towards a more harmonious, sustainable way of life.
So not just offering a cosmic chat, but maybe a lifeline too. Now, that's something I think we can all get behind.
It is pretty compelling when you put it like that. But I think it's important to keep in mind, as with any extraordinary claim, a healthy dose of skepticism is always a good idea.
Absolutely. We're not saying go build a telepathic beacon in your backyard just yet. But if there's even a sliver of a chance that the Yahyel are who they say they are, that they hold the key to a brighter future for all of us, that's something we can't just ignore.
And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating. It forces us to really open our minds, to look at things we might have dismissed before as just like science fiction and ask, what if? What if there's more to the universe, to ourselves, than we ever thought possible?
Oh, I like where this is going. So we have this potential alien civilization offering us guidance, wisdom, but they're waiting for us to call them. No pressure, right? But what happens if we do pick up the phone? What if we embrace this connection? Well, listener, we've really gone deep on this one, haven't we? Sorting through this wild audio you sent us, trying to figure out, well, the Yahyel, hybrid origins, higher dimensional consent. telepathic invitations. It's like we've opened a cosmic puzzle box and we're only just starting to see what's inside.
And like a good puzzle, it's not just about finding the answer. It's the journey, right? What's really stuck with you through all of this? What's the most intriguing piece of this puzzle for you?
I think for me, it keeps coming back to that question. What if they're right? What if, beneath all the, let's face it, extraordinary claims, there's something real to the Yahyel's message. The idea that maybe, just maybe, we're on the verge of this whole new era of connection, not just with other beings, but with, I don't know, ourselves. It's kind of exhilarating, but also a little terrifying.
It is a powerful mix of emotions, that's for sure. On one hand, it makes you question everything you thought you knew. Our place in the universe, the whole shebang. But then on the other hand, it speaks to that very human desire for something more, connection, understanding.
Right. Like it's in our DNA to explore, to reach out, to try to make sense of the unknown. And in this case, the unknown is saying, hey, we're here. We're ready to connect. But it's on us to, I don't know, meet them halfway.
To step outside our comfort zone. The Yahyel, at least as Lonnie presents them, seem to be saying that the next great leap forward isn't about spaceships or, warp drive. It's about consciousness. It's about recognizing that we are all connected and tapping into a deeper level of awareness.
It's like they're holding up a mirror to humanity and saying, it's time to evolve. Not just intellectually, but emotionally and spiritually too. Let go of your fear, embrace empathy, step into a future where connection isn't some far off dream, but, well, the norm.
And that future, listener, it all comes down to a choice, doesn't it? Do we stick with the boundaries we've built around ourselves, or do we break free and explore what else is out there, what we're truly capable of?
That's a big question. And not just when it comes to alien encounters, right? It's something we face every day in our own lives, in our relationships or communities. It's about asking ourselves, do we choose fear or openness? Do we choose to isolate ourselves or connect?
Because the answers to those questions, they're going to shape not only our own lives, but the future of humanity.
No pressure, right. But really, listener, if this whole Yahyel thing, if it sparked something in you, even a little, don't ignore it. Explore it.
The universe is vast and mysterious, full of surprises. And some of the greatest discoveries, well, they come from looking beyond what we think we know and asking, what if?
So keep asking those questions, keep challenging your assumptions, and keep listening. You never know what whispers from the cosmos you might start to hear.
Until next time, keep diving deep.